Hello and welcome to my fairy tale channel. My name is Jadwiga. Today I'm going to talk about a cute little story from the Grimm brothers, and it's called The Three Languages. Once upon a time there was an Earl in Switzerland, and he had a single son. And the son was his problem, because the boy was stupid. He wasn't able to learn anything. So one day the father, quite desperate, said, "There is a teacher, a master in another city. I will send you there, and I hope that this master is going to teach you something." The son went there. He stayed there for 1 year, and when he came back home, the father asked, "Now, my son, what did you learn?" And the son said, "Oh, father, I learned to understand the language of the dogs. I know what their barking means." Oh, the father became upset and angry and said, "I sent you out to learn something and not such stupid stuff. So, well, there is another teacher in another city, and I send you there, and I really hope you will learn something there." The son went there, and after 1 year, he returned back home, and the father asked, "Now, my son, what did you learn?" And the son said, "Oh, father, I learned to understand the language of the frogs." Now the father was really upset, so angry. And he said, "Well, there is one last chance. I know one more teacher in another city. And if he is not able to teach you something, you will no longer be my son. I have no son anymore." So the son went there. He stayed for 1 year. And when he came back, the father asked, "Now, my son, what did you learn?" "Oh, father," said the son, "I learned to understand the language of the birds." This was too much. The father became so upset, he said, "You are no longer my son." And he called the hunter to take his son out into the forest and kill him there and bring his tongue and his eyes to prove that he had really killed him. The hunter took that boy, but he could not kill him. So he said, "Just go far away, and I will shoot a deer and bring your father the tongue and the eyes. And I will tell him I have killed you." The son did what the hunter said. He walked and walked and walked, and after a long while he came to a castle. And there he asked whether he could spend the night there. "Oh," said the master of the castle, "Yes, you can, but you won't survive it. Because in that tower there are angry dogs, and they need some human flesh every night. So the whole area is in fear and panic because the dogs are so aggressive and nobody knows how to deal with them." "Oh," said the boy, I'm not afraid. Just give me some food for the dogs and we will see." He got the food and went down into the tower where he fed the dogs. And after they had eaten, he asked them why they were so angry. And the dog said, "Well, we are condemned to watch over a treasure here in that tower. But as soon as this treasure is going to be picked up, we no longer have to do that job. Then we can leave. Then we are free, and we would love to be free." So the next morning, everybody was surprised that the young man was still alive, And he said, I know what the dogs need. And he told the master of the castle what the dogs had told him. And the master said, well, go and get that treasure. And the young man brought it up, and from this moment, the dogs had disappeared. They never, ever came back. And this man was so happy and so grateful that he said, well, you should be my son. So the young man lived in that castle, and he had a new family. But one day he decided he wanted to go to Rome. Why ever he wanted that, that was his idea. And he left the castle and made himself towards Rome. And on his way, he passed a morass, a muddy area, where the frogs were quacking, quack, 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 quack. And the young man heard what they were saying, said, that can't be true. So he ignored it and just went towards Rome. Just when he came there, it had happened that the Pope had passed away. And all these men, the cardinals and the high priests, they were desperate and said, who should be our next Pope? And since they didn't know, they said, well, we will wait for a sign from heaven, and then we know. So the young man entered that church, and in that moment, 2 white doves came down on his shoulder, sitting to his right and left. And the cardinals and the high priests looked at each other, and they said, this is the sign. This is the sign from heaven. So they went to this young man and said, would you like to be our new Pope? And now the young man knew that the frogs had told right, that he had understood their language right, because they had said, oh, look, there is the new Pope. But he didn't believe it then. Now the 2 birds said, yes, yes, do it, do it. And so he nodded, even though he had no idea what to do as a Pope. And not long later, he had to give his first service, not knowing how to do that and what to say. But the 2 doves told him everything. So he became the new Pope. This is a beautiful little story, because I think the father expected his son to learn something like reading, writing, mathematics, something that would enable him to become a doctor or a lawyer, or at least to choose a profession that was socially highly respected. But understanding the language of dogs and frogs and birds was nothing in his eyes. So unfortunately, we do not know whether the father later got to know what had become out of his stupid son. And the son had so much self-esteem that he was not afraid to tell his father, well, I have learned the language of the dogs and the frogs and the birds. No, he's proud, he's happy. He says, hey, this is what I have learned. Despite that his father completely ignored that. And it's very hard being sent out by his own father, who tells us, you are no longer my son, I want you to kill. I want the hunter to kill you. This is pretty hard. It's hard for the father to accept that his own son is stupid, which he wasn't, but the father had no idea. And it's also hard for the son to be sent away and have no longer a family. Well, he finds another one. And we don't know whether he is happy with that new family, but at least there is one. So what this story tells us is that there are more things really helpful and worthy to learn and to practice besides reading, writing, mathematics.